Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 53 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So I've kind of been networking and surrounding myself with people who are in real estate and they're taking action. And it's very nice because you can start to, bounce ideas off of each other, get a different perspective on things, and maybe take some nuggets to apply to your own life. So for me, I've kind of been learning from people who are farther ahead of me. And basically, someone has 180 units of real estate and they were working a full-time W-2, just like me, a higher income W-2. And, so they scaled to 180 units, which is like way more than me. It's like triple what I have. And I'm not sure if I'll ever get to 183 units. I'd rather just own, kind of a least amount of units to have the most amount of cash flow to make it work. So it's really about taking debt off the table. And that's when he stepped away from his active income W-2. So the more and more I'm studying deeper into real estate investors of a lot of units, when they want to retire and have not as much active income, that's when they take chips off the table. And I never caught that, despite following a lot of big people like Thatch Nguyen or Pace Morby, etc. Because I've always just been focused on buy, get more units. But I'm kind of realizing that, they have a huge active income. And the people of the biggest real estate portfolios have an even bigger active income that they're using, whether it's fix and flipping, whether that's wholesaling, whether that's coaching, YouTube, whatever businesses they have. It's really the way to do it. So basically, they just increase their active income significantly, and they take that money, don't lifestyle inflate, and take the excess money to go dump it into real estate. And if they qualify as a real estate professional status, which most do, I don't, they basically can wipe off their active income, get a nice tax refund or pay zero taxes to Uncle Sam when they file taxes in April. And that's how they continue to scale. So for me, I work in healthcare, and just job wise, it's a lot of layoffs happening in tech and a lot of companies, healthcare included. And my kind of income kind of caps in healthcare. I make good money, don't get me wrong, but right now I have a mortgage, a pretty big mortgage that me and my wife split of $7,500 a month. So we roughly put in around $3,700 each. So it's harder to save, obviously. And then eventually throw kids on top of that, it's going to be even harder to save on top of that. So realizing this, it's making me come to a realization that I need more active income. I have passive income, which isn't doing as great right now because it's a recession. My multifamily portfolio was hit. I have videos talking about that. Obviously, people losing their jobs and they can't pay rent. You have to evict them. You have to fix up the units, increase your expenses, cash flow goes down, right? So I think multiple people, and I've talked to multiple multifamily investors who own C-class apartments like myself, and they're all getting hit too. I think one investor who owns 100 units in South Carolina said that his rents dropped by 30%. I'm not hit in Oklahoma. My rents stay stagnant. Another investor who invests in Washington, his portfolio was hit as well. He had more evictions, more expenses. So, times are tough right now for everybody, including real estate investors. So the key is you just want to survive. And to survive, you have to have big reserves and big active income. So a lot of the YouTubers that advertise stuff is they usually just share their best months. But anyone that owns a bunch of real estate, that things happen, and the point of real estate, the longer I'm holding it, is it becomes powerful once debt is off the table or you own it for at least 10 to 15 years. Because over time, hopefully your rents went up. Hopefully interest rates goes down, or if it stays the same, you're locked in 30-year fixed if you're a single family. If you're multifamily, at best you can do 10-year fixed. Unless you do velocity mortgage and they have a 30-year fixed product for multifamily, but your interest rate's gonna be a little bit higher. And that's really, what it is. So, when people say they retire early, I don't necessarily believe it, unless they did, short-term rental. If you do well in short-term rentals, it's more competitive now and more regulation. But if you do well, you can get fast cash to potentially retire early. So most people who are, around my age, millennial, they typically retired from real estate with Airbnbs, and then, ironically, selling courses on how to do Airbnbs. So, to me, like I said, I need to do a combination of make more income and then take some debt off the table. So, for me, I'm not taking debt off the table yet. I want to probably hold off for another 3 to 5 years, once I have kid 1, kid 2, and I could repivot what my priorities are, what my goals are. But until then, so I basically have to sell probably 2 to 3 single family homes to wipe off debt off the table. So that's paying off my primary. That's, maybe paying off one or both of my apartment complexes on the deal with, these 10-year balloons that come by fast. I'm already on year 5 or almost year 5 of my 26 unit. See, time flies. Bought that in 2021, and like I said, time flies. And that would reduce my expenses by about $10,000 a month, which would make my cash flow more consistent, more stable, and take some risk out the table. But until then, I really want to focus on increasing my income. So what does that look like for me? It's multifold. It could be YouTube, but I'll be honest, YouTube is challenging. I get paid about maybe $100 a month at most, because I don't get that many views. And then the YouTube algorithm's changing, so it's more of an interest-based videos now. So subscribers don't matter anymore. It's all about interest. So that's going to be a long-term game. I still like doing it because I like just sharing my thoughts, and hopefully you find value in that and can learn from my mistakes and documenting my journey. I did do coaching and mentorship, but I think coaching and mentorship is honestly dying. Like, not many people are doing it, and it's a bad time, right? Like I said, it's people are losing jobs, and they're just trying to survive. So I totally get it. It's only good in the time of good times, like during COVID, and people are skeptical, right? So the people interested significantly decreasing. And then from there, it's just like, okay, having real estate knowledge, what makes the most sense? And for me, it's maybe becoming a realtor. But to be honest too, whether you're a loan officer or a realtor, they're getting hurt too, because it's not many people want to buy. Like, who's going to buy a single family home unless you appease to investors? Then you're working with a different type of client or buyer. So it's a different game in that sense. So that's kind of the road that I'm kind of looking down towards, is becoming a realtor. Because you can make, it's hard to get clients, but if you get one client and you sell one home in California, that's like a $30,000 check. So what's nice about creating a YouTube channel is kind of ties into everything, right? Because you build a personal brand, and it can help you become a realtor. It can help you do coaching. It can help you make connections and maybe get deals brought over to you. So I call it the ultimate business card. So that's why it's still worth your time, and it's extremely leveraged, right? Like a video I created a long time ago, people could watch it, and then they you can still make money off it, or you can get leads from it. So it's very highly leveraged, which is the nice part about creating content on YouTube. So I'm trying to post more on once a day on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and then I'm doing a long form content. But obviously I might reinvent my way along the way because, like I said, my channel hasn't been doing as great recently. But anyways, conceptually, I want to increase my active income. That's the name of the game, man. If you look at all the big players, that's what they have the biggest active income, and they're dumping some money into their passive income, which is real estate. So I'm limited by my active income. I don't want to raise money. I don't want to have partners. Don't feel like doing private money lending right now. For the right deal, maybe. But that is what's pretty much happening for that. So, that's kind of the realization. So I have to increase my active income. And the moment I don't want active income, I have to take debt off the table. And at that point, I can make my cash flow more consistent and, basically be able to live off that cash flow. So for me, it's probably going to be a combination of both. Over the next 5 years, I'm going to focus on increasing my active income, whether as becoming a realtor or my YouTuber coaching blows up somehow. Doubt that, but most likely becoming a realtor. And probably selling some properties and taking some debt off the table, right? I have no interest in fixing and flipping. I have no interest in wholesaling, at least on a massive scale. So that's what I'm trying to do. And, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, real estate income, like, once your real estate portfolio is paid off, that's when it's become powerful. Like, I remember a network rep said that his mentor makes $100,000 a month net cash flow because his whole portfolio is owned free and clear. And he's not stressed, right? So it's kind of like the Dave Ramsey portfolio, where they own a portfolio free and clear. And regardless if there's no tenant in there or not, your expenses are very low. So, obviously it takes a while to get there. And in order to get there, you have to have massive active income and a bunch of real estate that you might have to sell to then, pay off your other properties. So like Dave Ramsey, his massive active income is his coaching and his courses that he dumps in to pay his real estate cash as a tax write-off. And then, so that's how he did it, right? Like, if you think about it. So like you said, it's a combination of that. So my iteration of it is having a small portfolio and then selling my high equity properties in California and use that to pay off my other properties in more cash flow states like Alabama and Oklahoma. So, that's really the name of the game. So just like, I don't know why this sounds so obvious now, but in the moment when I'm buying real estate, when you're scaling, you're just so focused on scaling that you don't even think about this. So key message, TLDR, increase your active income always, keep your expenses the same, don't lifestyle inflate, and then continue to buy more and more real estate. And this, because like you said, I don't want to partner, I don't want to syndicate, I don't want to do funds. They're all getting burned now. Like, I'm literally, if you search Brandon Turner's syndication fund, Open Door Capital or ODC, and you do Reddit at the end, like, all the funds that people invested in, like, they're barely getting dividends, losing all their money. So, that's why if you look at his main business now, it's mostly coaching, because that's where he's making most of his money, is coaching, ironically, right? So that's why I think becoming a realtor feels more natural, because that was a possibility for me too. Like, my coaching and mentorship never makes pennies compared to like my W-2 in my real estate portfolio. I made way more net worth from that. So it's really that way. So anyways, if you want to join my school community on a free trial, if you want coaching, mentorship, my free newsletter, click on my link down below. You can send me an email as well from there. And also, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.